Hi friends, Carissa here. Just wanted to do an update video because a lot has happened since my last video. So the biggest thing is that I am officially working as a nurse. So that means I passed the NCLEX and I have a job. Wow, that's crazy. So for anyone that maybe hasn't seen some of my former videos, I'll just give you a little quick backstory. I completed an LPN program, and if you're not familiar with an LPN program, it's a certificate program. So usually it's 8 months is mostly what I've seen. I'm not sure if other states might have it longer, but typically I feel like it's 8 months. And you usually it's like a technical college that typically does them, so you'll get a certificate and then you can sit for the NCLEX when you're done with the program. I chose to go with the LPN option because I already had a degree and I had started my career already, and I wasn't, although I felt really called to nursing, I wasn't 100% sure that it was gonna be right for me. So I wanted to start with something, first of all, that wasn't super expensive, that I could either pay for with cash or pay as I went, because my husband and I have committed to a debt-free lifestyle. And secondly, I wanted to get it done quick so that I could start getting experience and see if it was something that would fit me. I am really glad that I did the LPN program, especially because I went to a smaller technical school and there was a lot of individual attention, and I found that really helpful, especially because I know basically nothing about the medical field, and it was really nice to have all of the support that we had. So I'm really glad I went with that option. I do plan to continue my education, and I feel like now that I have that LPN, it will be just fine going on to the next steps. So finding an LPN to RN program. And I'm not going on with the majority of my classmates to the RN program because I'm waiting till we have enough money saved up to pay for that next step, the RN program. So I did have an opportunity to work at a hospital, but it was a really long drive and the pay is not as good for hospitals. So I decided to just start at one of the long-term care and rehab facilities where I live, just to get my feet under me, get some experience. And I had done clinicals at this facility and really liked it, and liked a lot of the employees. So I decided to start there, and I am currently working there now. I'm feeling pretty good about things now. But for anybody else that is maybe starting out as a fresh nurse, long-term care / rehab is way more difficult than I thought it would be. I feel like I was a little bit ignorant based on my clinical experience, because we really mostly saw them do the med pass, and then they would spend time charting, and then we had midday conferences and had to leave the facility, and then when we came back there were only a few things to do. So we didn't totally see the full picture. I didn't realize how involved it was. I also know that I am a perfectionist, so I may have some of these feelings that not everybody has, or challenges that not everybody has. This is just my experience. I pretty much cried every single shift until last week. So that was probably about a month of shifts where I cried every time. For me, it was just very overwhelming. There is a lot of, and I'm doing day shift, by the way, there's a lot of noise. So there's call lights, there's phones ringing, there's aides asking you questions, there's patients asking you questions. There are many tasks that you have to prioritize, which is totally part of nursing, and I was prepared for that. But also in the long-term setting, you don't have your supplies set up like you would at a hospital. So a lot of times you're running all over the facility to get supplies and you don't have time for any of it. Like I think the biggest struggle for me is that I would end the day, I come in early, I don't take breaks, I don't take a lunch. I mean, I eat, but I don't like take actual time. I just kind of like shove food in my mouth while I'm charting. And I stay late to finish my charting. So I'm doing like 13 to 14 hour shifts and still not getting everything accomplished that you are supposed to accomplish. And to me, that feels like failure. And I realize that some people have different levels of, you know, what accomplishing a task means. For me, if you're doing a full head to toe assessment or whatever, I know what that really looks like versus what some people actually do. And in my opinion, it's impossible, literally impossible to do 10 to 12 of those every single shift when you have so many other things you have to do. For me, some of the more experienced nurses seem to get their med passes done a lot faster. Mine are usually between 3 and 4 hours. Okay, sometimes 5 hours. I think one time it took me, you know, I started around 6 and then one time I got finished at like 11. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm really scared to make mistakes and I don't feel like I go slow, but it just always ends up taking longer than I think it's gonna take. And then we used to have somebody doing wound care and then now I'm doing all of the wound care and that's very time consuming. And then on my hall, there at one point everybody had, not everybody, but 4 people had IVs and then they went away. And then now there's a bunch of people with pain meds and that doesn't seem like a big deal, but you have all of these things that are scheduled and they ask for it and then they're like maybe way down the hall instead of close to you, and it all just adds up. It all adds up and it takes time, and it has made me realize that I do not thrive in a chaotic environment. I think I'm doing okay. I've been told I'm doing okay, but it's very stressful for me. I think that I would do better when I can really take my time and focus on something. So maybe something like the ICU where I can just really think things through and kind of move methodically from one task to another instead of going in chaos in all these directions. And it's funny because sometimes I function like that at home, but at work, it makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong or I'm gonna miss something, even though I really try to write everything down. I really try to make sure I don't miss anything. It's so chaotic that I'm always scared that I'm missing something. And like I said, there are just some things I don't have time to accomplish. I had one patient ask me to get them some ice water and I was so overwhelmed with all of my tasks. I was like, okay, let me ask one of the aides, and he didn't like that. And I was like, well, you know, I'm really sorry. I've been a CNA. I would love to help them, but I can't. I already come in early and stay late, like I just said in this video. I don't have time to be helping other people as much as I want to, as much as I know how hard it is to be a CNA. I don't have time to help them. And they're not working those hours. They usually have 8-hour shifts for the most part. So that kind of stuff is really challenging for me too, because I want to help everybody and I have to be really firm in my boundaries and saying no, because I know that if I even do one thing for them, that puts me back even further and I'm already leaving late. So anyway, I'm not meaning to complain about it, or it is what it is, but that is something that I have really struggled with and I'm still learning how to manage. And if you're going into long-term care, maybe that will give you some ideas of what it might be like or what to think about. It probably depends on where you work. I know some facilities, the nurses manage more beds, which I would probably quit if I had to manage more than I do already. And some manage less. I would love if there were less, but you know, it is what it is with the facility. So I'm sure everyone's experiences are different. One of my friends from school ended up getting hired at the hospital, and she said it was a lot less crazy and chaotic. Still hard, of course. It's definitely still hard. But I think in school you maybe overlook long-term care and think that you're just handing out meds and you're not going to get as much experience. And that was so wrong. Like you get way, way more than you think you do. So anyway, I hope that helps. And I'm not sure what else to say about the program experience. I guess the only thing I would add, I've said this in a previous video, but if you're worried about where you are in life going into nursing, whether it's you're young or you're old or you have never done anything in the medical field, it is okay. Like it's fine. There are nurses from every background that you could possibly imagine. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about life and about the profession. And I truly believe that if you have the mind and the heart for it, then it really doesn't matter what your background is. I am in my 30s and I was worried about being a little bit older and restarting my career, just like doing a complete reboot. And I felt so uncomfortable going into the medical field. And the first few times I did things like give injections, it's very uncomfortable because you've never done that before. It's like learning how to walk again. Your muscles don't know that work and your mind doesn't know that work. And it's uncomfortable and scary, but you learn it. You totally learn it. And there were people in my class older than me, there were those younger than me, and everybody brings their own beautiful, unique life perspective to any profession they're doing, but especially nursing. And honestly, for me, it worked out great because at my age and the experience I've had, the work that I've done in the past, it was a good primer for being a nurse because I've mostly worked with youth. I hate when people say troubled. I say at risk, but for the sake of this video, troubled youth. At risk is a much better term. And when you have to deal with people, work with people that can be a little bit more challenging or maybe don't fit into what you would consider the typical societal mold, it changes your perspective on life and it changes how you work with people and how you interact with the world. So I really feel like that was a good primer for being a nurse. Even though the technical skills are really challenging for me, I already know how to deal with people, and I've worked with challenging individuals and I've worked with people that aren't very happy with me before. So I think that emotional aspect really helped a lot with becoming a nurse. So again, no matter what your background is, there's so many things you do as a nurse that I believe whatever you have done, you're gonna find that you've done something that prepared you for nursing. One of my classmates I was sharing with her how challenging it was for me with just the mind-blowing amount of tasks you have to accomplish. And she said that being a server helped her with that stuff, that she had been a server in the past, and she said, you know, you're getting pulled in all these different directions as a server, and it was kind of similar to what you're doing in nursing. And I thought that was really interesting how that life experience had prepared her for one aspect of nursing. So keep that in mind and just know that wherever you are in your life coming into nursing, if this is what you're being called to do and your school is aligning for you and it seems to be working out and not like, you're not like forcing it to happen, then just know that you're okay. Like you're in the right place and you're where you're supposed to be, and it's gonna be great. It doesn't matter if you're 20 or 50, it's gonna be awesome. But not without its challenges. So it's getting a little long. I'm going to end it here, but hopefully that was a little bit helpful for somebody looking for advice on long-term care, or just wanting an update about, that's kind of egotistical of me, like anybody cares about getting an update about my schooling. But if you do, and you're so very sweet to watch this, there it was. And let me know if you have any questions. If you're curious about an LPN program or what it's like working in long-term care, let me know, and I'm happy to share that knowledge with you. Thank you so much for watching and being with me, and you have a fabulous day.